When you think about the greatest soccer teams in the world, you probably think of amazing skill, genius strategy, and those big star players. But there's one team that plays on a whole other level. A team where every single match is way, way more than just a game. We're talking, of course, about Supa Strikers. I mean, seriously, just think about that for a second. How are you supposed to score a goal when you literally can't see the goalposts? How do you run a defense when the other team is using sound waves to mess with your every move? And believe me, these aren't some weird hypothetical questions. For Super Strikers, this is just another Tuesday. Because for this team, being the best isn't just about kicking a ball better than the other guys. No, it's about outthinking them, out-adapting them, and overcoming these absolutely insane challenges that would make any other team just pack up and go home. These bizarre games, well, that's the ultimate test, isn't it? So today, we're going to break down exactly what makes this team so legendary. We'll look at the unique challenges they face, how they deal with completely bizarre tactics and mind games, how they handle their own inner turmoil, and finally, what it all boils down to, their winning formula. Okay, so let's dive right into the core idea here. For Super Strikers, a match is never, ever just a simple game of football. It's always a puzzle or a mystery, and sometimes it's a straight-up battle against reality itself. Their opponents are, well, they're masters of cheating, basically. And I'm not talking about a hard tackle here or a clever formation there. We're talking about teams that use everything from tech sabotage to environmental warfare just to get an edge. When you play against Super Strikers, fair play is usually the first thing to go right out the window. And that leads us perfectly into our first category of challenges, opponents who don't just play on the pitch, they turn the pitch into a weapon against you. To really get how wild this is, just look at the difference between a normal defense and what Super Strikers has to deal with. They face things like the Iron Curtain or anti-football, where the entire other team just forms a human wall. Their goal isn't even to score, it's just to stop the game completely and frustrate Super Strikers until they make a mistake. And oh, it gets so much crazier. Their opponents literally weaponize the environment. In one game, the Glacier Gauntlet, they had to play a team called the Ice Guardians on a frozen lake. And the other team was using curling techniques to slide the ball perfectly across the ice. Or how about the Mist Mavericks, who played in a stadium filled with thick fog, using secret whistles and clicks to find their way around, while Super Strikers was totally blind. And this right here, this quote from Coach Rasta, it just sums up their entire philosophy. During that game on the ice, he didn't tell them to just run harder or kick stronger. Nope, he told them to adapt, to understand the ice and use it to their own advantage. It's that mindset, adaptation over brute force, that really sets them apart. But the attacks aren't always physical. Sometimes they're way more sneaky, targeting the players' actual minds. These opponents use tech and psychology to attack the player, not the ball. For instance, one opponent used a high-frequency sound to cause a tiny, almost unnoticeable delay in the goalkeeper's reaction time. Another team used a predictive algorithm that was analyzing all their old plays in real time, which forced Supa Strikers to basically invent a new strategy on the spot. They've even had to switch to using silent visual hand signals to get around sonic interference. It's unbelievable. So what you've got to understand is that these battles are often more mental than physical. The goal isn't just to win the game. The goal is to break the team's spirit, to shatter their strategy by attacking their senses and their minds. But the most dangerous opponents, well, they aren't always on the other side of the field. Sometimes, the team's biggest challenge comes from the enemy within. And this is a classic story, right? The champion's burden. As Supa Strikers got more and more famous, the individual players started getting all this media attention, which led to jealousy and arguments. This internal fighting completely wrecked their focus on the field, and they started struggling against teams they should have easily beaten. They had to learn the hard way that sometimes even success can be your opponent. And these problems were deeply personal. You take a guy like Striker Surge, who was so ambitious that he secretly started overtraining with a faulty machine. Of course, he gets injured right before a huge match, and his ego ends up hurting the entire team. It was a brutal lesson. There are no shortcuts, and your own ambition can never, ever come at the team's expense. So, after facing down impossible tactics, psychological warfare, and even their own inner demons, how do they always find a way to win? Well, it all comes down to a clear, repeatable formula. You can call it the Supa Strikers method. First, they observe.
They don't just see the problem, they figure out the real strategy behind it. Second, they analyze, usually with their tech guy Vince breaking down the science of what's happening. Third, they adapt. They create brand new plays right there in the middle of the game. And finally, they unite, because no plan works unless you have flawless execution, and that takes absolute trust and teamwork. And what holds that whole formula together are these core pillars. You've got Coach Rasta's wisdom, Vince's tech genius, the players' raw creativity, and just this unshakable belief in each other. And maybe most importantly, they have a deep, deep respect for the game itself. Even when their opponents cheat, Supa Streakers never stoop to that level.
And that's really the biggest thing to take away from all this. What Supa Strikers has, it's not some superpower, it's not magic, it's a process. It's a commitment to looking at an impossible problem, breaking it down, and trusting each other completely to pull off the solution. That is what makes them champions.
So what's the big lesson here? In sports, and really in life, we put so much focus on just raw talent. But Supa Strikers proves that when skill just isn't enough, the things that really make you a winner are intelligence, unity, and that creative spark to adapt to absolutely anything that gets thrown at you.